if you wanna play.
Our chairs are right
Welcome
next to
back,
each other.
welcome back to another episode of Cheers to Health. Of course, you got to have me, Brian. He just got his freshly mustache done, Torres. And of course, I got to have Omar DJ Oskits Torres in the building. And Omar, we've got some special guests with us today. Would you do us the honor of introducing these beautiful people here?
Yeah, Justin and Shealy are our
There we go.
guests.
There we go. Shout
Yo,
out to we're gonna
need to
put
get
an
better at
applause
that.
there.
Yeah, I need the soundboard. But going on with that, yeah, I met Justin. I think he was working the floor at that time. You were a wellness attendant at that time, maybe, or if not, you were just working out, and you're just sometimes you're a social butterfly. And I'm like, dude, let me pick his brain because he sounds like he knows what he's talking about. But yeah, man. And then, digging into that whole stuff, he was telling about his journey a little bit. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. And then later down the road, I met Shealy. Shealy was a client of mine through one of the other trainers at the Y. She's awesome too, a registered dietitian. Not Shealy, but her mom. But yeah, dude. And she was getting it in there. Every time we went in, there was a little bit of confidence issues. But whenever she got in there, she was killing it. And she's still killing it. But whenever I was training Shealy, we were talking, in between sets, we like to talk, kind of get the time to pass by. And she would mention Justin. And I was like, is this the same Justin that works here, that's here? And then eventually I caught on and I was like, oh, shoot. And then, yeah, I found out you guys were getting married and I was like, that's awesome. That's awesome. But yeah, moving on from that. So how did you guys meet and how did you guys, end up, getting together?
I guess I'll tell my side of the story.
Yep.
My side's more interesting than his. Yeah. So going back to 2022 or 2021, I on staff with a college Christian ministry called Crew. And back then I was discipling this one girl named Gigi. And during our discipleship mentorship meetings, we would always talk about her older brother, Justin, who had cancer. And it was really hard for her. And so I was kind of helping her process through that. We would pray for him a lot. And then last I heard, he was in remission. So I was like, praise God, that's awesome. This guy I've never met is doing better. And then fast forward to August 2022, I start going to the gym because I went through a bad breakup and just wanted to get out my sadness. And so I started going, but I kept seeing this guy that I thought was really, really cute. And I was so annoyed because I was like, I'm fresh out of a relationship. I'm still healing from this. Like, I'm not ready for a relationship. So I just kind of ignored him the entire time. And then one day, the only thing I knew is we had a mutual friend named Mike, and I would see them talk sometimes at the gym. And then one day I'm in Cute Guy's general vicinity, of course, ignoring him. And I hear someone say, bye, Justin. So I said, cool. Okay. Cute Guy's name is Justin. Now we have
Shout
something to
out.
work with. And so I went on Mike's Instagram to find Justin and found him and started like scrolling through his profile. One thing led to another, and I made the connection that he is, in fact, Gigi's older brother, who I had been praying for 2 years. And I was like, okay, this is crazy. I at least have to like introduce myself, which is totally not my MO at the gym. Especially at that point, I was really nervous and anxious at the gym. And so I was not one to just introduce myself. So eventually, 5 days in, mustered up the courage to say hi. And I said, random question, are you Gigi's older brother? And he said, I am, which I already knew from my research. And yeah, basically told him that I knew his sister. And yeah, that's how we met at the gym.
Awesome.
Nice.
That's
Now, can
awesome.
we hear Justin's
Right.
side? Because I feel like he's going to do a 180 on us. Justin, let's hear your side. How did you?
I mean, I don't know that my side was all that interesting. I was just working out and she came up to me and I had gotten a ski pass that year, was just looking for somebody to ski with. And I was working at the Y. I was only working a couple hours a week. I was just trying to ski a bunch. And she's like, oh, I have a ski pass. And I'm like, sweet, someone to ski with. And so we just went skiing and I didn't really think anything of it. I was just like, cool. Somebody for 6 hours of driving to talk to. And so we skied like 25 plus days that season.
23 days.
3 days.
Wow.
A lot of skiing. A lot of getting to know each other.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. And he told me that one of y'all told me that y'all met the Liver King on one of your
We
trips.
did, yes. We met him in Breckenridge at a random ski lodge.
So we were, I was at Breck and super packed lodge on a weekend. around Christmas, and there's one open spot, and I start running over to that spot to grab the end of a table. And I get there, grab it, and a guy taps on my shoulder, and I turn around. It's the Liver King. It's like, hey man, can we sit with you guys? Is there room at that table? I'm like, yeah, sure. This is
No,
the
she's
Liver
like,
King and
nope,
his wife.
seat's taken, bud.
And that was like 2 weeks after the whole steroid scandal. But it was interesting, like sitting with him. He was a super down to earth guy. I mean, he was
Yeah.
totally just a family man. You know, it's all an internet persona.
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of gone off the rails now. I may feel differently if I had a conversation with him now, but we ended up just talking about like parenting and him wanting the best for his sons and
Okay.
trying to build them up to be good men. And I was like, he's not too bad a guy. So
The funny
Absolutely.
thing is
That's awesome.
we were with my dad, and my dad doesn't know who the Liver King is. And so he sat down and like just introduced himself to this random guy and just struck up conversation. And, people were coming in asking to take photos with him and everything. And my dad just thought it was because he was really buff and didn't realize he was actually a famous influencer. So he told him afterwards, like, you were just talking to someone famous. And he was like,
Yeah.
oh, really?
That's awesome. No, yeah. And we always talk about that too. It's like it's hard to, judge people off the internet, even, have all this stuff until you actually meet the person. It's like a whole different thing. But that's why I don't like talking mess about people. Because I mean, every time I talk to people, I'm pretty cool with people. I see the better side of everybody. And it's just,
Mhm.
whatever. I'm not gonna stir up no drama for no reason. Even though Liver King, I saw the documentaries and stuff. He's pretty crazy. But on to the health journey. So, Shealy, you were talking about how you were a little bit nervous coming into the gym, or you were heartbroken, came back. Tell us all about that. Tell us how you what was that turning point for you to come in the gym and go beast mode on people?
Yes. So I kind of had a two-part health, or I guess wake up call, I guess, with my health journey. The first one was actually in college. So I've lived pretty active lifestyle all growing up. I danced and swam. So I did, different activities. But starting in college, that all ended. And I really didn't work out at all. So I was just kind of living life, eating whatever I wanted, lots of fast food, staying up late, not getting great sleep. But throughout college, I actually have a degree in exercise science, which is kind of my little kept secret at the gym, is I have a degree in it. But my senior year, I had a class, and you had to do a lot of different strength testing and endurance testing. And I remember I had to do a push-up test, and I failed the push-up test because I
Mm.
couldn't do a single full depth push-up. So that was kind of a wake up call of like, oh, wow, I'm actually pretty weak. And I'm surrounded by all these like fitness nerds and sports fanatics. And that just is
Mhm.
not me at all. So that was kind of the first like awareness of, man, probably should do something about this. And then, yeah, started going to the gym after that breakup. That's what got me into the gym, honestly. And I started to see an increase in my strength right away, but I was still just socially terrified of the gym. I just thought that everybody was judging me. I had all this head knowledge, but I didn't have any practical knowledge because I had no experience in the gym. And so it was really scary just trying to go in there. And I would do what I like to call exposure therapy, where I would try just one new exercise a day or one new machine a day. Sometimes I'd ask for help. And it eventually got to a place that I really was seeing an increase in my strength and I wanted to go further with it. And so that's when I met Omar, and that was kind of the next wake up call of just learning proper form with the three main lifts for powerlifting. And that kind of started the trajectory for my life, which looks completely different now. So
Awesome. I love that. That's great to hear. I love that. I love how like I said, you took a little bit to get in there and then doing that exposure therapy. Let me just try one more. And then let me do one
mhm,
more. And next thing you know, okay, let me reach out to Omar. That's awesome to hear. Congrats on that.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And, building that confidence because, shoot, I saw a video of you deadlifting, what was it, 265?
For six.
And, you know,
That's double what
for some
Omar
reps.
deadlifts. That's crazy. Good job.
I'm going for 315 pretty soon. So
Wow.
I'm
There you
excited
go.
about that. Yeah,
Talking
three plates
about.
will be a dream.
You
Yeah.
can do it.
Oh, that's awesome. And just, and you got that right support system, where, you guys boost each other up. Whenever I talk to Justin, he's like, yeah, she's got it. I mean, she's going to go on to the next one. She's look at that board. She's going to wipe them out. Boom.
Yep, he has more confidence in me than I do often, especially with bench. That's the one I get it in my head the most with, and he's like,
Yep.
"No, you've got this. You just gotta get
Yep.
out of your head."
True. That's something that I try to work with it too. I was like, "You got it.
Mhm.
Confident. Be confident.
Yep.
It's alright." You get used to that heavier load, you work on it, you get more comfortable, boom, and that confidence will go with it.
Yes,
That's
and
awesome.
my confidence definitely has increased in the gym, like, from not knowing what I was doing at all and just being very self-conscious to I still don't know a lot of things, I'm still learning new things all the time, but I have this confidence of, like, people are actually really helpful at the gym. If I just
Mhm.
ask them, like, "Hey, how do you do this?" or "Is that working a specific muscle group?" Like, they're more than happy to help out and, yeah, really encouraging too.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's good. That's something we try to advocate too, is just don't be scared to ask somebody for help at the gym.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Don't be intimidated. Get in there. Try it
Because
out.
usually the big guys who look like they're roided out and whatnot, they're usually the ones that are helping me out the most. I'm like, "Hey, man, can you help me out real quick?" Like, "Oh, yeah, dude, this is how you do it." I'm like, "Oh, okay, easy there, killer. Take it easy." But they're always helpful, man. So, like I said, I always ask anybody just because they look grumpy. That some people have that resting, what's that resting beep face? Oh, just know that people are nice, even though they don't look nice sometimes. Kind of like me. I know I look grumpy all the time, but I'm pretty cool, pretty chill.
Yeah, but don't listen to 'em. He's gonna give you the bad
Uh,
advice.
Unless they're clearly in prep. The guys that are in prep, like 6 weeks out from a
Yeah.
show, they got,
Yep.
like, no calories in their system.
Might be a little
Those are
Yeah.
the
hard.
only ones
Angry
I don't
coming in.
approach.
Yeah.
Mhm. Dude, not
But
today.
you can see
Not
when they're
today.
just struggling, you just leave them alone.
Yeah. So going into that though, Shealy, before we go to Justin, you're also a diabetic. Can you kind of go over that with us and show us, how you navigate that to maybe helps others that might be going through the same kind of situation?
Yes, so I am a type 1 diabetic, meaning my body no longer produces insulin. So I have an external insulin pump that I wear actually 24/7 that kind of acts as my pancreas. And so the biggest challenge with diabetes is blood sugar maintenance. So keeping my blood sugar within range and exercising definitely affects my blood sugars. Most of the time it lowers it, but occasionally if it's too high it will raise it, and so there's a lot of factors that go into it, and it's kind of like you could do everything perfectly to have perfect numbers and still not have perfect numbers, so that can be
Mhm.
really frustrating. I've kind of figured it out with working out. My workouts are usually pretty intense, and so I actually don't wear my insulin pump while I work out for at least the first hour. I can go usually 1 to 2 hours without insulin and be fine. After that, I start getting in trouble a little bit, which I have
Yeah.
definitely gotten in trouble a few times with that. But just because my workouts are so intense, yeah, it drops my blood sugar naturally. So I go without insulin during that. But I always have fruit snacks or juice in my gym bag just in case.
Mhm.
And I would say the 2 times that it's most impacted my workouts is if I'm really high, like if I have a really high blood sugar, I'll just feel really nauseous or get kind of a dry mouth and be really thirsty and just kind of notice this exhaustion that I'm not performing as well as I would like. And then low blood sugar, if I catch it ahead of time, I can kind of prevent it from going low. But if it does go low, that really significantly impacts my lift because I get
Yeah.
very, very shaky and weak. And that's kind of one of the most frustrating things is when I'm going for a heavy lift and then my blood sugar goes low right before it. And it's like, okay, I can either not do this lift and take care of it, or I can take care of my blood sugar and then wait like 15 to 20 minutes and then
Yeah.
try it again. But it's not really safe to try to lift that heavy without, yeah, with
Yeah. And you've been doing it for a while where
Mhm,
you know your body, you know your limit to that point. I mean, somebody who's gonna start lifting can't just go in there, it's like, all right, let me take a break from this. No, you gotta kinda go slow and steady, get used to, like, what your body goes through, and then
mhm,
slowly start, okay, more intensity, let's take breaks or whatever it is to kinda
mm,
help manage that so you don't get carried away and,
yeah,
you know, get that low blood sugar or whatever it is that, might cause that issue.
mhm,
But that's awesome. That's
That is
yeah,
us.
see,
Come on. Go
come
go
on,
ahead. There. Good job.
find
I love
ways
that.
to get it done. That's what I'm talking about. Speaking of finding ways to get it done, Justin, you've had a lot of obstacles. But dude, you're still out there, being positive, have a freaking awesome, what do they call it? Aura, dude. And everything is just like you're a smart dude and you ain't coming up with no excuses. You're getting in there, you're throwing that weight around. And unfortunately, you beat me at some lifts that I need to up my game on.
Go, Justin!
Anyways, tell us about your journey, Justin. Tell us, like, how you grew up and, what you overcame.
Yeah, well, I grew up in a healthy family. My dad worked out every single day of my life, would weight lift one day, do cardio the next day. We always had a gym in our house, nothing fancy, but when I was pretty young, I'd do dumbbells. We'd always go hiking as a family. We'd camp a bunch. When I was 10, I started working out at the Y. Back then, they weren't so strict on like what age people could actually be in the weight room. And so I would just walk to the Y every day. It was about a mile and a half from our house. And so I'd walk over there or ride my bike there and lift weights and had no clue what I was doing and just kind of went for it and a lot of stuff with bad form and figured it out. And nice older people would step in and say, "Hey, maybe you should do it this way."
Yep.
You'll feel that when you're my age. And so over time, I kind of learned stuff, started watching YouTube videos. The main guy I watched was back in the day was Rich Piana.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Not that there was like a lot of like really valuable stuff to take from him, but I found him funny. I did end up learning some stuff from him, but just lifted super consistently, was lifting 6 days a week from 10 on until adulthood. Then just after I turned 20, got cancer. And they initially, like when I had to get a pick line in for chemo, and they're like, "Oh, you can't lift more than 10 pounds with this end." It's like, well, that sucks. So that lasted like 2 days of lifting no more than 10 pounds. And then I think a week later, I was deadlifting with Mike and deadlifted like 380 pounds.
Wow.
So my pick line never displaced, but allegedly you're not supposed to lift more than 10. Who knows?
Well,
I told my doctors about that after the fact,
Yeah,
a
right.
couple of years down the road once I didn't have a pick line anymore. But yeah, that was a pretty up and down journey for the next 3 years. Ended up getting a bone marrow transplant, full body radiation, chemo, and actually did fine after that. Funny story going into the hospital with that. I had two suitcases and I had one giant one. And the nurse was like, "Oh, I'll help you pull that in." It was during COVID time, so I had to get dropped off at the front door and nobody could come in with me. The nurse grabs it, she starts pulling it. She's like, "What the heck is in here? Weights, Chingly?" I'm like, "Yeah." I just filled one suitcase full of weights, exercise bands, a pull-up bar, and so yeah, I'd lift weights in the hospital every day, just use the hospital chair in my room like a bench and um, do like dumbbell press laying on the floor, do pull-ups on the door frame. I had one nurse, she's like, this was like 6, 9 months later. She's like, you asked me a question that no patient's ever asked me. Do you remember what that was? I'm like, I have no clue. I probably asked a lot of out-of-pocket questions. She's like, you asked me if the door frames were strong enough for you to do pull-ups on with your fingertips. And I was like, oh, yeah. So I was doing pull-ups on the door frames, working out in there. Did fine with the transplant, but then it was like 3 weeks later, got graft versus host disease from it. Basically, my body rejecting the transplant. And that's when I really started to go downhill. It attacked my gut, and I quit being able to eat food or even like drink water without getting super sick. So I went, gosh, it was probably like 5 weeks without eating food and without drinking water. The only water I was on was like IV water, and anything that went into my stomach, I would just get super sick. I had like 20 to 30 ulcers in my stomach and intestines at a time. And so they wanted to do like a full gut rest for 5 weeks. Well, I lost tons and tons of weight. And then finally, they're like, this isn't working. You still can't eat. So I started having to do IV nutrition, TPN. So it was basically a backpack I wore that 12 hours a day. I got all my food through intravenously. But by the end of that, after not eating for that long, went from about 185 pounds to 110 pounds. Just lost all my weight.
Thank you so much.
And so that was like a big building back. Oh, and one of the last things I did, you know, my first round of chemo, so I went through like chemo 3 separate times. I was training to run the Leadville 100 at that point. So I was doing a ton of running, was running, 50, 60 miles a week. And so every day that I was in the hospital, my step goal was always 20,000. The nurse was like, "Oh, you should do like a 5K for your last day in the hospital." It's the last day of my first round of chemo. And I'm like, well, I do more than a 5K every day, but I should do a marathon. And she's like, that's a horrible idea. That's not what I was saying.
Yeah, right. No.
So I did a marathon with my chemo pole in hand, fucking laps around my floor. It was 103 laps of my floor inside.
Yeah.
Took me like all day. I got through like 20 laps, then my joints started swelling, all the inflammation from the chemo. So I do 4 laps, and then my hips, knees, and ankles would like just blow up like a balloon. So then the nurses would bring me ice, and I'd ice for an hour, and then I'd go do a couple laps until the swelling went down. So it took me 14 hours to do that marathon, but I was the
Gosh.
first patient to do a marathon on the floor. And it's kind of
I
cool
know.
now.
He's going down in the history books.
There's been 2 other patients that have done a marathon now. They've
Yep.
had some, like, big runners come
And
in, with cancer, and the nurses there are like, "Hey, this one guy did a marathon," and so now my legacy is kinda carried on in the
yeah,
hospital.
there you go.
Yeah.
Dang, was swole up.
But, yeah, it was a pretty up and down coming back. Like, I'd come back to the gym for a little bit and start putting on a little bit of weight, and then my graft versus host disease would flare again, and then I'm back inpatient 6 weeks, and then I came back and was really starting to gain some weight. And then I got diagnosed with throat cancer and was on 5 different chemos. It was 7 days inpatient of around the clock chemo, 21 days out. Did that 9 months and then came back, started working out again. And then I got pneumonia that I almost died from. In fact, my mom found me in cardiac arrest in the basement, started doing CPR on me. Shout out to YMCA training. She also works at the Y.
Shout out to
There
your
you go.
mom, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I remember waking up in the back of the ambulance. The paramedics kind of revived me, and then I was inpatient forever again with that. Came back on oxygen, and all the guys were making fun of me in the gym, saying I was cheating with my oxygen tank, walking on the treadmill, squats.
Do it.
And,
Gotta do it.
but yeah, I was still getting in there. And then, yeah, it was up and down. Then after that, came back for a while, and then my elbow snapped bench pressing. So that happened. I was just going down and pop, and the bone, top of the bone separated, tore both the tendons on both sides. And so then again, I was out, and so I just started hitting legs super hard. Got really strong legs at that point, and then we were skiing a bunch too. So I was just skiing with one pole, wasn't using my inverted
Yeah.
one.
He can't straighten his arm fully.
Yeah, so because of that, that's the full range of motion for this arm.
You know what? This dude can still do a muscle up. Called him out, and I was like, "Oh, I gotta
You
train
can't
up for
do
this
that.
muscle up."
Oh yeah,
And
check
then
me
out of
out.
nowhere, he was just like, "Oh, I don't even know if I can do it." Whatever, dude. Yeah, that is awesome.
So Justin,
So, yeah,
can I rewind it just a little bit? So when all this first started happening, how did you find out, or how did that happen when all this stuff started happening?
yeah. So, I mean, like I said, like I was in the peak of my health at that point. I mean, my nutrition was super dialed, ate meal prepped things a day. I was weight training every other day. I was running 50 miles a week, was working a job that I was on the floor all the time, getting 40,000 steps a day. Just thought I was healthy. I was 20 years old, and I got a bloody nose at work that wouldn't stop. And got to the point where my hands would just pool with blood when I take the tissue out. And I'm like, dang, I need to go to the urgent care or something. So I left work, went to urgent care, sat there for 2 hours, and they're like, oh, sorry, we don't have a balloon to stick in your nose to stop the bleeding. Well, thank goodness the urgent care was incompetent and didn't have that balloon, because they would have sent me with that on my way home to die, because they sent me to the ER since they didn't have a balloon. I went to the ER, and the guy gets me in, and I had spots on my skin. He sees that. He sees the bloody nose. He's like, we need lab work on him right away. He comes back a couple minutes later. He's like, we got to get blood going into you ASAP. Well, my platelet count was under 2,000. That was the lowest it could read. Normal person has 150,000 to 400,000 platelets in their body, and that's your clotting factor. And under 2,000, just sitting, you could have a brain hemorrhage and die. And so the fact that before that I was working in a warehouse, moving a couple 100 pounds at a time, and I somehow made it to ER without dying, driving myself there. Yeah, so that's how I found out. But I walked in the ER, again, healthy, best shape of my life, not thinking anything of it, 20 years old. So I'm just wearing my work clothes. I didn't come prepared. Well, I went into the ER, they transferred me by ambulance to our cancer center, spent 10 days there. And then they transferred me by ambulance over up to Anschutz, so specialty care. So from walking in, I was 7 weeks inpatient, um, just walking to the ER.
That's
Sheesh.
crazy. That's crazy, man. And I'm sure, I mean, you were working, right? So was insurance helping you out quite a bit with that? Or did they help?
Yeah, oh, that was a pretty crazy thing. Had put in my 2 week notice that day because I was going to start trade school to be a power line technician and put it in that morning.
Funny talking about that.
But the whole time I worked there, I had never called out. I'd never taken a sick day and I'd never taken a vacation. And so for me to leave work early was just insane. And so HR didn't process the 2 week notice. And so I was able to get my full disability from them. I was in management, so I had really good benefits. And so for 3 years, they paid out. The first year, I got 100% pay disability. And then for 2 years after that, 70% pay. And then another 2 years after that, they supplemented my pay. So, like, while I was working at the Y, not making any money, they supplemented my pay up to 70%. They just subtracted what I made at the Y, and then whatever the difference was for me to be at 70% of my original pay, they still paid that out. So it's
Shout out
pretty
to the
crazy.
HR lady.
Yeah, that
Or
was huge.
person. Shout out to them. Because I know a lot of companies, they'll be like, hey, cut this guy off. Because that's a lot of
Yeah.
money. But that's so awesome that they did that for you, man. That means a lot. That's good to hear, brother.
Oh, yeah. No, that's wild, dude. So what was like or what were the biggest things that kind of, kept you going and, kept you positive this whole time?
I I mean, I just tried to maintain a good outlook from the beginning. I think overall, just God protected my heart, and I never remember like being angry or frustrated or really down about any of it. I kept a really positive attitude the whole time, and so I don't know that that was necessarily of me, but more of God. And then from the gym perspective, I mean, I've been working out there since I was 10, so I had this big, tight knit community that I'd surrounded myself with, and so they were the people like holding me accountable, checking in during COVID, doing workouts with me, like coming up with creative stuff. They were coming over to my place. I remember Mike, and now I'm spacing on his name, another guy that we worked out with. He filled his car up with center blocks and came over. And so we were pushing his car full of center blocks up and down our street. And that was our
Yeah.
workout for one of the days.
Hey,
So we were just having
I
all
do
these
it.
crazy COVID workouts. Yeah, it was a ton of fun.
That's awesome, man. I
That's
love
awesome.
that.
Yeah, especially during COVID. I mean, everything was locked up, and you had friends that were that close, so you were still able to get it in, even if them gyms were closed. You gonna
Yeah.
try
Shout
to
out
wait.
God. Shout out God. There we go.
And it
God,
was pretty
dude.
cool. Right before COVID, I had bought a full home gym with a rack, cable machines, leg curl, leg extension. And so we had all that to use too. So that was hugely helpful.
Yeah, there you go. Shoot, almost got me a whole gym. I was in Germany though, so that cost a lot of money to be able to ship all that stuff over there. So I just
Mhm.
did band work and ran. That's all I did. Shealy, so you were doing what exactly were you doing with the church, and how were you able to help people through
Yeah,
that?
so I work for a college Christian ministry. At that time, I was at UCCS. And so my job is a lot. There's a lot of different things that I do, but the majority of it is a lot of like mentorship and discipleship with faith. And so helping people just really know and understand God, um, know the Bible, and also learn how to talk about their faith and religion with other people without being like pushy or judgy with it, but really just like open minded to people.
Mhm.
Kind of our motto with how to talk about your faith is people need to know how much you care before they care how much you know.
Yep.
And so really just modeling, asking people questions about their perspective on things, their own spiritual journey or lack thereof, and kind of their thoughts on things first. And then just building rapport and an honest friendship first.
Mhm.
And then most of the time, God opens the door to them being able to talk about their own faith and their own journey too. So just helping a lot of students do that. And then also just build really good community while at college. So primarily at UCCS, just doing a lot of different community events, things that are open to anyone and everyone that just want to make new friends and grow in a gospel-centered community. So that's a lot of what I did. It's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly my job description, but there's a lot with that.
I like it. I like it a lot. Good. Good, 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 good.
Oh, that's awesome. Brian works with like young adults and sometimes, it's difficult for them to find their way, and
Mhm.
that's awesome that we have people like you to kinda help
Taking
navigate.
them to church tomorrow. Taking them to church tomorrow
Nice.
for revival.
Yeah.
Revival tomorrow.
There you go.
Yeah.
Look at that.
It was such a pivotal time in my life too, just with my faith journey, and I was very on the edge with Christianity, like, coming in my freshman year at UCCS and was just really unsure. But, yeah, same thing, had great community and had people that actually let me be honest about my doubts and questions, and, yeah, really just kind of built a solid foundation with my faith during that time, and then now getting to kind of meet people that were at a similar place that I was now, or I guess I can meet with them now, where they are, and just kind of helping them with their faith journey. And a lot of times, yeah, they're wanting to get into faith more, but not really knowing how or not knowing what or why, and just kind of helping them process through that. It's always good to have someone to just, kind of bounce ideas off of, ask questions, and just get to process through things with.
There you go. Absolutely. Yep. Yep.
For
Just
sure.
asking the questions, like you said, and just be open to having that conversation.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
So,
going on yeah. Oh,
quick question. These guys got a jungle. I thought they were in Colorado.
We are.
These
seriously.
guys are in a jungle right now. Is anybody not going to address the elephant in the room here? Or are we just going to just be cool?
This is
Definitely, we
this
were
is
Like these
his
guys,
definitely
jungle.
gonna dive
Call
into
it
they're
that.
what
in a
you call
jungle
it.
right now.
Yeah,
I didn't know
we
Colorado had jungles over there.
yeah, well, we've been downsizing. We're down to 160 plants in the house.
I don't even know if I've got one in here. That's great. That is gorgeous, though. What are those big plants? Big plants? What is that?
Oh, yeah. This one is a big philodendron. It's a big alocasia back there. I got all kinds of different stuff. Definitely nothing that grows in Colorado. Uh, but we kind of created our own jungle in the house. So we keep it, it's 30% humidity in Colorado right now. It's about 65% humidity in our house.
It's really nice on
Um,
the skin.
we have
Yeah,
grow
yeah, I'm
lights
sure.
everywhere.
Yeah, I know.
That is
I got
crazy.
dry skin but
So
yeah, I
you
need
have
to step my game up in it.
150 plants?
160 now. We
Yeah.
used to have up to 240 plants, so we've really downsized over the year.
Sheesh.
Less.
I was talking to him one day at the gym, and I was talking about plants because I was building this area for Kelsey. She loves plants too. But he said something about it. He was like, "Yeah, I love plants. Like I got plants." I did not think it was this extreme,
Casually.
dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a couple
It's
plants at the
extreme.
And
house.
I ran into Shealy later on, and then yeah, she was the same. She was like, "Oh yeah, we got so many plants."
Buddy's got some plants, all right?
Yes.
Probably one of our most valuable assets, upwards of $20 to $30,000 worth of plants
Of
in the house.
plants.
I didn't spend that, but I grew them mature to where they're worth a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
money now.
Yeah.
I mean, they look gorgeous. Just the ones I'm seeing here. I mean, like, goodness gracious. They look healthy. Like, good.
Yeah.
So what is this plant you have on here? What is that? On your shirt?
This is which one? This is the Anthurium King,
Okay. Shout out.
Anthurium beachy.
Do you have that plant?
I
Am I seeing
do.
it or not?
You are not. That one is
Okay.
in our dining room.
Yeah.
Okay. That one's up in a mantle or something?
Well, probably it's got a whole dangle on it.
That's safe for it?
But yeah. No, I think the most I did with trying to grow something was so I had a hobby which was brewing
I'll tell
beer.
the story. He was in high school and he used to smoke weed and he would throw the
Can't do that.
out and he thought he was a farmer of marijuana. No, you're not.
In high school. That wasn't me.
That was a joke. That was a joke. Okay? No.
No, I was brewing some beer, okay? And I decided I want to, grow my own hops. So I tried to do that out here. So I ordered some, I don't know what they're called, the little root things to grow it out there. I was trying to time it and dude, I failed. I failed. I don't know what happened. It just didn't work out. And then I just gave up after that. But my wife, she has a bunch of plants, like for our anniversary or, a certain celebration. I give her plants. She loves plants. But dude, I'm not. I need to do more research through your channel and stuff. Speaking of, Justin has YouTube, Instagram, Facebook at what is it called? The
TikTok
High Altitude. What's up?
and TikTok too.
And TikTok.
Yes.
Shout out to
Yeah.
TikTok. Come on, dude.
All right. High altitude houseplants.
Yes.
Shoot. See that? I need to step my game up, Dude, what do you recommend for like a podcast, ambiance? Low.
I mean, you're
Just
looking
got
at it, brother. It's right there. I mean, you're looking at it, my guy. There it
already
is.
I think Pothos, any of the like trailing, like everything along this wall, all the big
Yep.
trailing plants, like it kind of just hangs down and
And all
fills
that
the
is
space
real.
up. Oh, yeah, yeah.
See, that's a big thing. We'll go to like restaurants and stuff, and Kelsey will call it out. I'm like, oh, that looks real. And she's like, it's fake.
Eggplant.
It's
Well,
fake.
there's some
Yeah.
stuff that I thought was fake. Like, no, that's real, bro. I'm like, oh, my fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's that place downtown with all the plants?
Living
Like
room.
Plant store.
no, like the place that has all the restaurants.
Kawadi.
Yeah, Kawadi.
Yeah.
That's a cool place that all the plants are actually real there, and there's big trailing plants everywhere. It's kind of like this indoor mall with a bunch of small business restaurants and stuff.
Like an indoor cafeteria that turns into a bar at night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
I've been there a couple times actually. It's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
we've heard stories, buddy. So pipe down.
Yo, and my wife, she'll ask, restaurants or places if there's like a cool plant or something like that for the trimmings.
Yep.
And she'll, what are they called?
Propagate.
From out of the
Cuttings
what's
or
that?
propagation.
Propagate.
Propagating. Yeah, she propagates them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's a lot of friendly people out there too. They'll just be like, yeah, go ahead.
Yep.
Say less. Boom. Took the whole thing.
Be careful though. Don't just go out there all willy nilly, because then you'll get caught up. Be like, hey, what are you doing? That's $1,000 plant. Don't be taking trimmers off of that. So make sure you ask. Do you do that?
Not really. No. Most of my stuff I order, like I've gotten into a lot more rare stuff or even stuff I can't find in plant stores here in Colorado.
He'll do it for
Um,
other people though. Like let them take cuttings.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
plants.
Yeah, I sold like $300 worth of plants this week. And whenever they
wow.
come over, I'm like, is there anything you like? I'll just cut off of it and give it to you.
That's cool.
No, I have a client who will give me like trimmings off her, what's it called? Christmas cactus.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I'll try to, well, my wife tries to propagate it, but I don't know. I don't think we're doing it right.
Watch your
You
mouth,
ever,
Omar.
Christmas cactus
Watch
is
your mouth.
different. You got to dry
yeah,
them out and then wrap them in a paper towel and let them root into a wet paper towel.
Fun fact.
They're a
okay.
little bit different. Yeah.
So it's kind
There's
of
a
like
video on how to do it.
beans.
Write that
I
down,
remember
brother.
back in the day in elementary, we put a
Yeah.
bean in paper towel. It's like that?
It's a good
Yeah.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to dry them out first, though. That's the key. They
Okay.
got to kind of dry out a bit.
Ooh.
Shoot, write this down,
Yeah,
dude.
write that down. Want some brownie points for the old lady. There you go.
Yeah, gotta do that. And that's all cactus?
Christmas cactus specifically.
We actually don't have
There you
many
go.
succulents in our house.
Yeah.
Actually, I had one and then I killed it. The plants are Justin's thing, not my thing.
Yeah. See, same. I'm not, yeah. I'll water it if you ask me to, but even then I'll probably mess it up.
Yeah,
Same.
Probably don't water Justin's plants, okay? She gonna kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I help out
Yo.
with the ones that I know how to water and it's kind of hard to screw up, but I only
Yeah.
do it if he tells me to. So
Yeah.
'cause
I'm
I
the same
won't
way.
know if I need to or not. But
Yep. Because you probably got like a schedule and stuff on when to water and the lighting and all that.
Not a schedule. Schedules are the lighting, like everything with the maintenance is all like smart home integrated. So all the lighting, the fans, the humidifiers, like the humidifiers automatically turn on and off to stabilize humidity in the house. The lights run 12 hours a day. Fans are always on. Watering though, I water based on weight. So I just pick it up and I know what the weight of the plant is, dry versus wet. And when it's dry weight, that's how I know to water it.
That guy's got the touch.
Even
That's
those,
what it is. He's got the touch. Omar
even those
does
big
not
ones.
have the touch.
Chelsea has one of those big plants. I forgot what they're called. Starts with the M, I think.
Monstera.
Yeah, she's got one of those.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That's
And
my
she'll
favorite.
take it outside and when it's raining or something, or she'll take it outside to water it. But how do you tell with that thing? Is it just like eyeing it, or do you still do the weight thing?
I still pick it up. I mean, I have one over here in the corner that's huge that weighs almost 100 pounds when it's wet.
Yeah, those things are big.
That's
Wow.
Massive.
Well, that's a birdie one.
It's a
Yeah.
Tide constellation.
These
Yeah.
guys are in a jungle. They're not. Hey, I know this is all virtual and whatnot, but I know you guys are not in Colorado. That's a jungle they're in, bro. This
Yeah.
is crazy. That's
We
cool,
tried
though. I love
keeping
it.
one of those, what is it called? I think it's called like a money tree. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to have one of those.
Those aren't
Those things, they
Wish it were.
I mean, plus, and if it did, we wouldn't have luck anyways, because
Yeah.
that thing
He said,
did not
"It's dead."
survive. Couple things. We had, like, a couple of them. None of them survived. Somebody gave us one, I think, and it died. Come on. We can't keep that thing alive. But no, that's a good point. Brian, I don't know how he knows about this stuff, but with the humidity, it's super dry. It's hard to kinda keep those dang plants, but you got a system going. And that's something that you dig into your channel and stuff where, 'cause I was scrolling through and, even the humidity levels and stuff like that, I was like, "Dang, dude, that's some good information right there," because I get paranoid with, if there's too much humidity, like with the electrical outlets and stuff like that, is it gonna be too much? Then you were digging into that stuff. I was like, "That's hard."
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, that's one of the focuses with the channel is growing tropical plants to their max potential in a really dry desert climate. There's not a lot of people on social media out there in bad climates growing plants like this. So there's a lot of people that live in tropical climates like Florida and Australia and South America. They grow these crazy plants, but they have a climate to support it. They can grow it outside. Where I take one of these plants outside for a day and it's done. So
Mhm.
um, it's a whole different ballgame trying to grow this stuff here.
It seems like a full-time job. Okay, I don't know if it seems like a full-time
It
job
is.
keeping up.
It really
Yeah.
is.
I mean, plant
106.
care, 15, 20 hours a week is about what I put into it.
That's cool though,
That's
man.
awesome, bro.
They're well done.
And would you say that's something that kinda, because we talk about mindfulness, kinda getting into that little, zen place, meditation. Is that something that kinda calms you, kinda gets you in that little zone of yours when you come
Yeah.
into,
Yeah. It's
dealing with plants?
relaxing. So, I mean, before I got cancer, I was super outdoorsy. I mean, I was training to run the Leadville 100. I was trying to finish all the 14ers in Colorado. So I was doing like about two 14ers a week back then, um, hiking all the time, doing tons of skiing and backpacking. I do like tons of multi-day backpacking trips all through the mountains. But after cancer, my joints were so bad that I really can't hike anymore. I have a lot of chronic pain. And so this has been my way of still getting out in nature. I just brought it into my house. And so I can still experience nature in its own way right here at home. And I'm not limited by my health anymore.
Yeah.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome,
Eh,
man.
and so
That's
what
really
what got you into the plants though?
While I was sick, a couple years into being sick, my mom and sister each bought me a plant, and it just spiraled from there. I was never into plants before that. I appreciated plants. I loved being in nature. I loved big trees and looking at all the different stuff that was out there. But that was the first time a plant was brought inside, and I just started going to plant stores, and I was coming home with a couple plants like every week. Yeah,
You also have
That's
to know
awesome.
that
this about him. When he finds a new hobby that he loves, he goes all in with it. And so
I don't
this one
I
does
don't believe that
that. He
with all
doesn't go
those
half.
flowers.
yeah. Yeah, because my first attempt at still getting out into nature was off-roading, and so while I was sick after my transplant, um, I, like I bought a 4Runner, and while I was in there for transplant 7 weeks, I came up with a whole plan to rebuild it, bought all the stuff, bought all the parts, and then I got out and I stripped the whole thing down to sheet metal and built this huge custom off-roader while I was recovering from my bone marrow transplant. And I built it all in a driveway, like fancy tools just out in the
Yeah.
driveway. But then I was like, that's kind of an expensive sport and it's kind of
Yeah.
destructive on nature. And so plants is where I landed.
Awesome. That's cool.
man, those plants, I remember going to one of those plant stores. Those things can get expensive too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Sheesh.
I mean, the most expensive one I saw sell fairly recently is about 9 months ago. It was called the Devil Monster Monstera, sold for $43,000. One of the first cultivars. So
Dang.
it's crazy. If you get like a rare mutation and you're one of the first ones with that mutation before it goes mass market, they'll sell crazy, crazy amounts of money at auction.
Can't
That's
even
crazy.
imagine.
Wow. See, that was my goal with the hops. I was trying to make my own,
This guy is
you
hops.
hop
Sorry,
thing.
folks.
Yeah,
Give it a
I'm over
break,
it now. Okay?
dude. Give it a break.
I don't even really drink anymore, so it's not even a thing. So whatever.
So when you guys come home, is it like because I know when I go into plant stores, I go into somewhere where they have a bunch of plants. It's almost like a breath of fresh air. It's almost like life bringing to you. Is that what you guys feel every time you go inside that house? Because I feel like that's what it is. It's just like look at
Yeah,
all of this, and I mean, just feeling
Fresh air.
all that energy from those plants.
yeah. No, it's very relaxing. I would argue it doesn't purify your air as much as people think it does. Um, because you think about, I have 150 plants, which means I have 150 pots full of dirt. So
Yeah.
our house gets really dusty. So I have air purifiers on every floor. Those two, like the plants and the purifiers working together, does keep the air really fresh. But I think on their own, they can still make it not as fresh as people might think.
Our home
Do you
is
talk
definitely
to
our safe place.
Do you talk to each one of your plants separately?
I don't
Do
really
you
talk
have
to my
one-on-one
plants
Yeah.
too much.
He
relationships with
doesn't
each one of
name
Name
them?
them
'em.
either. I wanna name them, but, no, they go
Name
by
'em.
Justin,
their
come
scientific
on,
name.
dude. This is family here.
Gotta
You
name 'em.
gotta name these
Like
kids.
They all
Bernie.
have great Latin names already that I can't pronounce.
Yeah, yeah. A line. That's awesome. Um, so before we head off, tell us something that you would like to, promote for like health and wellness, something that sticks out to you that you want to kind of give to the people. Some good advice.
What you got?
Looking at me. I mean, one thing that comes to mind off the top of my head is just like as a woman, how important strength training is just for longevity of life. I think women often get really intimidated by heavy weightlifting, and the argument is, oh, I don't want to get too bulky. And it's like, unless you're taking steroids and like really trying to get bulky, you're not going to get bulky. And in order to get that kind of toned, slim look that everybody is kind of wanting, or a lot of people are wanting, you have to have a layer of muscle to do that. And so don't be afraid of the heavy weights. And I think you'll actually surprise yourself with how much you can do if you just push yourself and try.
Absolutely love
Yeah,
that.
that is important to, yeah. I'm getting you guys notice, I get my wife in there now. She's been wanting to do more resistance training
Hmm.
and I try to push her, but you know what? You don't want to. It's like, we're in here. Let's keep going. That's awesome. That's good advice. Awesome. What about you, Justin? What you got for us?
Say, take accountability, take care of yourself, stop making excuses. Like, you only get one body and you can still do everything right and, have horrible health like I do, but it's not an excuse to give up. But also try and look at it as like total health, because just working out is not the full picture. You can work out, you can weightlift and be super unhealthy. And so try and like, I think that sleep and nutrition are just as important as exercising and weightlifting. And so you can be taking steps for your health by improving your sleep and your nutrition, like take it in bite-sized chunks and just look at it as this picture of total health as you try and move in the right direction, and just pick the things that you know are going to be maintainable. And the other pieces start to come more naturally as you set that as a priority in your life.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. I
Yes,
love it. 'Cause I
sir.
used to see people, who are strong and built, but if you don't have like everything connected, because for me it was a guy who I thought had it all figured out. He was so strong, and I was like, oh, I'm not strong, but he's got it all figured out. But mentally, he wasn't all there. He's struggling mentally. I didn't know at the time, and so me thinking like, oh, he's got it all figured out, but no. So it all goes together. And then going to the gym, like Shealy was saying, and just doing that little exposure therapy. Just getting in there first. And then most of the time people want to get on a treadmill. If that's the first obstacle or first uh, equipment you want to use, go ahead, and then slowly break into another one, and then another one. Next thing you know, you're gonna be more comfortable in there. So that's really awesome, and I appreciate y'all so
Yep.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And they set the gyms up now where, you can do little circuits now. It's not just like randomly spread out now.
Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
at the Y anyways. But I'm sure there's other places where they have similar, lineups where they make it better for people, more convenient for people to kind of go step by step
Mhm.
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
get the
And I
work
think that's a
done.
good point to picking the right gym to start out at. Like picking something like a Y or a Planet Fitness, if you've never been to a gym, you're probably going to have better luck feeling comfortable trying new things than if you walk into a big, like bodybuilding, powerlifting
Yeah.
gym and
Yeah.
everybody's 6 times the size of you. It can be a little bit intimidating.
That's true. That's true. That's what I try to tell him. He's always trying to go in there, and I'm like, "Dude, they're gonna scare you. They're gonna scare you.
I ain't never
Don't do it."
scared.
No, but that's solid because I never thought about that, but Yeah.
No, I have, because I've thought about going to them. I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I'm gonna go over here. But
You
again, I
guys are
appreciate
awesome.
y'all
Know that
so much for being on here. I really enjoyed
Of
both
course.
y'all's stories. Very, very inspiring. So thank y'all so much for sharing that with us today.
Yeah, of
Yep.
course.
guys.
Thanks for having us.
And cheers to health.
Cheers. I guess we have our waters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah, there we go.